Tigers on Sports 56. Here is your host, the voice of the Tigers, Dave Wolo.
Look up on the wall. There on the wall. Under the bottle. Behind the door. There's a crack in the mirror. Somewhere there's a hole in the way. I tell you they not to blame. Tell me, do you think I'm to blame?
Good Friday. It's pick day. I know Brian Takis is all set for this. Oh, man, was that baseball game last night incredible. I don't know if you saw it, the American League Championship Series. Cleveland's at home. They take a 3-1 lead, and they feel so good in the eighth that they bring in their closer, Emmanuel Clase. And Emmanuel Clase looks like he's operating in pretty good form, in pretty good fashion. And then up comes Aaron Judge. He gets him 0-2. Uh-oh. Home run. Giancarlo Stanton is up next. Uh-oh. Back-to-backers. And all of a sudden, the Yankees have a 4-3 lead. They had another one. It's 5-3 in the ninth. What happens? The Yankees bring in their closer, Luke Weaver. There's 2 outs. They bring in a pinch hitter, rookie, John Kency Noel. Is that? Am I saying that right, Brian? John Kency?
I think so.
I looked up Clase because I wasn't sure how you say that either. It's really cool. You know, you go to Siri, you go, how do you pronounce Emmanuel and spell the name, and boom, you get it. So John Kency Noel, who doesn't speak English very well, through an interpreter, he talked. 2 outs, rookie, bottom of the ninth. How about the confidence they have in this guy? Man on, by another dramatic home run. We're tied 5-5. Yankees, now both teams are down to using other members of their bullpen. Their closers are both all gone. Yankees go down in the 10th. I think it was a 2-out double in the 10th by the Indians. Now they got a runner in scoring position, and up comes David Fry. I don't know why it made me think of David Freese, the Cardinal. David Fry comes up. What does he do? See ya! Another dramatic home run in 10. Cleveland stays alive. They win the ball game 7-5, and it's now 2-1 with Game 4 in Cleveland. That's tonight, right?
That's right.
Man, I'm just telling you, it was so exciting. Now, it was not exciting in New York City. Although early on, I thought it was, but the Dodgers pound the Mets 10-2. Mookie Betts, 4 of 6, a home run. Shohei, a leadoff home run, 3 walks. They're scared of him. He scored 4 runs. So they take a 3-1 lead. They have outscored the Mets 30-9 in the 4 games. That's amazing. That's 7.5 runs per game. Well, there was a 9-0, there was a 8-something in there. I mean, they've just dominated the series. Now, in this particular game, in the early innings, the Mets kept getting base runners on, and I don't know what the final count of stranded runners on base was, but it was gargantuan. I mean, they blew their chances early. They had a chance to really put the Dodgers away in this game, and they didn't, and then the Dodgers did it to the Mets. That series is over, and the Dodgers are going to win. Agree?
Oh, absolutely.
All right. So we're on the same page. We got a very busy show today as I sit in the Family Leisure Studios. And a reminder, please go see our friends at I-40 and Wooden Road. Go see Billy. He sits by the desk at the door. See Lindsay. She's the owner. They have this big hot tub sale, the spa sale still going on, where you can get a brand new spa, state of the art, at under $2,900. The cold plunges, the newest thing. It's really big on the West Coast. It's getting some steam here, under $4,000, where you just go into that cold tub and it really gets your circulation going. Then there's the swim spas. That's the biggest one. The Cadillac, $17,499. Special financing available. This sale, it's super at Family Leisure. All right. We do a thing every Friday where we make picks. I'm 18-7 on the year, but since Bryant came on board, we've only had 1 week. I went 4-1 last week. Bryant went 3-2, early lead to me. I wonder if I put money on these things where I was 18-7, what would my record really be? Because
Good question.
that when the pressure's on like that, everything changes. So we got the first one. It is Texas and Georgia. It's in Austin. They haven't played there since, 52, I think. Mm-hmm. Crazy. Long time. I'm a believer in Texas. I think they are the number one team in the country. They got two quarterbacks they could use, and even when neither quarterback plays well, like against Oklahoma last week, and I don't think Oklahoma is chopped liver, Texas dominated 34-3. I'm a believer. I think Texas is going to win by at least a touchdown, so I think they cover. I'm taking the Longhorns over the Bulldogs.
I'm going to go the opposite way, Dave. I'm going to take Georgia +5. This is going to be a big game for both sides, but more importantly, Georgia, who already has one loss in conference this season to Alabama, so they're definitely not going to want to drop two conference games, so I think they're going to be all out trying to win this game. They certainly have the team. Carson Beck, which Carson Beck shows up, I'm telling you, I mean, if the Carson Beck we saw in the second half against Alabama played the entire game like that, they would have won that game easily, but instead, Carson Beck in the first half throws 3 interceptions, and they end up losing, so I'll take Georgia to keep it close. I think it's going to be a great back-and-forth game, but I do think it's a close one.
Here's another tough one. Alabama going to Knoxville. The last 2 weeks, the freshman quarterback, Iamaleava, he has not looked very good. A lot to prove. I'm just not sold on Alabama. I know they got Georgia. And then I know they have played poorly the last 2 weeks. They lost one, that was to Vandy, and barely squeaked by a average, because every team in the SEC minus Mississippi State is pretty good.
That's right.
I'm a home team getting 3. I'm a home dog. I believe in home dogs, baby. I'm taking Tennessee.
Yeah, I'm also going to take Tennessee here. I think kind of everything you said, Alabama, especially their defense, has not looked good at all this year, especially as of late. So now UT, I think, Nico, if he can get some confidence early, maybe throw it around a little bit. But this Tennessee team has been the running game and the defense. Dylan Sampson, their running back, has looked really, really good so far this season. He's already doubled his touchdowns from last year, so I think he's going to have some success on the ground. And, I think this all comes down to Alabama's defense. So, yeah, with the Vols at home, I'll take them +3.
So I just took the home dog.
Mm-hmm.
This time, in Fayetteville, I can't. I like Arkansas. I think Sam Pittman's done a great job. I would clearly keep him for another year. Continuity and all that. But this LSU team is getting better.
Yep.
And they just beat Ole Miss in an unbelievable showcase of will. I can't imagine they would go on the road. They're only giving away 2.5. So a field goal is a winner. I can't imagine they're going to lose in Fayetteville. Now, they could, because Arkansas has been a surprise, and they're a pretty good team, just like Vanderbilt is. But I think LSU is really a good team. Mm-hmm. I'm gonna go with the Bayou Tigers.
Yeah, I'm also going to go with LSU here. I think Arkansas is a really good team, especially when you get them at home. It's hard to beat them in Fayetteville, but Taylon Green coming back from injury, he got banged up in their last game. I've heard he's going to play, but I've heard he's not necessarily at 100%, and he relies so much on moving around the pocket, getting outside, extending plays, and if he's limited in doing that, that's a huge advantage to LSU. So I'll take the Bengals.
And then our final college football game, Missouri at home against Auburn. It's a 4-point spread. I'm just not a believer in this Auburn team this year. Now, I think Freeze is going to get another year, know what, because he's got this great recruiting class coming in, and he hasn't been there that long. He deserves that opportunity, but I don't believe in this Auburn team. Not that I'm a great believer in Missouri. I don't think they're nearly as good as they were a year ago, but at home and only 4, I'll go with the 4. I'll give it away. I'm going Missouri.
Yeah, I'm going to go with Missouri as well, and I think, for me at least, this all comes down to what they did against Texas A&M a couple weeks ago. I mean, just didn't show up, and that raised a lot of questions. I think there were some people that had questions about this Missouri team, but certainly not the grand public having questions about this Missouri team. But that loss definitely raised some eyebrows. The next week they go and play UMass. They beat up on UMass, but nobody in the SEC is sitting there going, oh, Missouri's actually a good team. It was a fluke against Texas A&M that they lost that game because of what they did against UMass. So I think they're going to come into this game against Auburn. They're going to want to prove they're a better team than what they've showed. I still don't think they're as great as they were last year, but Auburn doesn't have a quarterback. They're really struggling, so I will also take Missouri.
All right, and then finally our NFL game. We're all the same except now for the Texas-Georgia game. It's the Chiefs at San Francisco. San Francisco off to a poor start, kind of righted the ship last week. I just heard my guy, Brandon Lang, who I love that segment that he does with Greg and
It's
Eli.
great.
He says stay away from this thing.
Yeah.
I'm not going to stay away from this thing.
Yeah.
I think the Chiefs are the 2-time defending champions. They're coming off a bye week. Andy Reid doesn't usually lose off of a bye week. I don't think this San Francisco team has lived up to the billing yet. Of course, they're missing some pieces, and they're still missing those pieces for this game. I think Kansas City is on the road only. They're getting to. Give me the Chiefs. It's kind of like a sucker game, but I'm taking them.
Wow, Dave, this weekend is going to come down to Georgia and Texas because I'm also going with the Chiefs. I mean, San Francisco, it feels like Vegas must know something or think they know something because this line just doesn't make a lot of sense to me. But I guess, San Francisco at home, I understand that. But I'll take the Chiefs +2. They've been so good. They're the back-to-back defending champs. They've got all their guys. San Francisco doesn't, so I'll take the Chiefs here.
So it does. It comes down to that
right.
one, which means I'll either have a 2-game lead on you
right.
or we're knotted up, baby.
How about that?
Good picks. I appreciate that. Brian Dacus and myself going at it, and college football should be. Oh, by the way, I think Memphis wins. Now that line's at 11.
Yeah.
You know what I like about this game? I think it's a barometer game.
Yep.
Because both teams who have scored a lot have done it against bad teams. The one team they played that was good, in the case of Memphis Navy, in the case of North Texas, Texas Tech, where they lost 66-21, they floundered. So this is sort of a barometer game because I think they're good teams, both of them. I think Memphis is slightly better, but this defense will be tested. Because North Texas, in case you didn't hear, number 4 passing offense in the country, 330 per game, 20 touchdown passes thrown by this kid Morris, who is the son of Chad Morris, and the 5th overall best offense in the country, almost 41 points a game, and 507 yards. So if Memphis' D is for real against a conventional offense, we are going to find out. This is a barometer game and actually another elimination game because you lose this game either side and you're out of any kind of consideration for a group of 5 playoff participation. Also, really a participation the way Army and Navy is playing, and we'll talk about that last segment of the day with Corey Glore, our roundtable. Bruce Howard will have the day off. Whether you're a small business owner, a single mom, or you're buying your first home, Southern Security is here to be your trusted financial partner. For over 75 years now, Southern Security has been serving all of us here in the Mid-South with unbeatable rates, the best service, and when it comes to technology, it's always the newest, the latest, the greatest. Wait till you see what they'll have at their new bank location in Collierville. It's been voted the best credit union in the Mid-South for 6 consecutive years, and you can join. There's 2 ways. Go to southernsecurity.org, or you can actually talk to somebody on the phone at 901-452-7900. Southern Security, a proud supporter of the Tigers, and 901 Women. Southern Security, your home team credit union, federally insured by NCUA. Let's travel down Ridgeway, and we'll head to MUS, and our friend, our coach, Glenn Rogers Jr. joins us now. Good morning, Glenn. How are you today?
Happy Easy Beat Friday, Dave. Good morning to you and all our listeners, man. It's a beautiful Friday, rivalry week. It's a great day for football, for high school football especially.
All right, so let's start with maybe the longest-running rivalry in the state, certainly in the Shelby County area. That is MUS and Christian Brothers, your team. You don't pick them because they are your team. You used to be their coach, but you can break it down for us. What are some of the keys for both teams in that game tonight? Most people are thinking Christian Brothers will win. They're 4-2 and 1-0 in the league. The Owls are 2-5 and they are 0-2 in the league.
Yeah, and Dave, it's the 14th oldest rivalry in the country, and a lot at stake tonight. Both teams still got a lot to play for, and I think the team that establishes a run game will win this ball game. I think field position will be key. The special teams will be a big key, but our thing at MUS is Brady Hughes, our quarterback. If he can get things going, running the ball, which he's very effective, a great athlete at running the football. If he can get going in the run game, that'll open up the play action pass in US. And he'll be a difference maker if he get going. And then for Christian Brothers, they have a backup quarterback. Their starter tore his knee a couple of weeks ago in a farewell win, and so Christian Brothers has a real good running back. Javon Slayton, a slot receiver, can do it all. He's a utility guy who's quick, fast, very elusive. So if they can get the ball in that running back and Javon Slayton, the playmaker's hands, I think that's where Christian Brothers' success lies. Both defenses will be tested. I think Christian Brothers, their strength this year to me has been their defense. Just watching them, the few times I watched them, their defense is tough up front. And MUS, we know MUS's strength is their linebacker core, led by Thomas Davis. So the key is, can Brady Hughes get going, and can Christian Brothers get their run game with Javon Slayton going?
I've seen that Brothers defense in action. I watched the very first game of the year when they took on White Station, and the game started with a safety. That doesn't happen very often, but that D is pretty darn good. I also understand that before the game there will be some form of ceremony to remember Derek Clennon, the former Owl, and also the former Tiger defensive back, who unfortunately passed away from cancer at the age of 40 with 3 young boys. It's really a sad story. I know his wife was a cheerleader at the University of Memphis. I think she was a cheerleader for Christian Brothers too. And both the parents were such big Tiger supporters. They always came to every game for football and a lot of basketball games too. And my heart just goes out to the whole family for sure.
Absolutely. Barbara and Ken Clinton, Derek's parents, they're my daughter's godparents, and Derek was like a surrogate son to me. I mean, I was very close with him and his family. Talked to Tommy West and Joe Lee about him walking on at Memphis, and it has been a tragic story. Derek Clinton has touched so many lives, Dave. Just in this community, he's been a volunteer coach at MUS for the last probably 10 years or a decade. He's committed his life to this city, and I just feel so bad for his wife Kristen and the 3 boys, and he's just been a big impact on this community, and he's got a lot of friends here. Carter Giovanetti and John Phillips, his MUS teammate, and Carter played at Christian Brothers. Those 2 guys are very close to him, and so they're going to do something either in the second quarter or at halftime to have a moment of silence. And I think this is huge, and I really appreciate the Christian Brothers faithful for letting that go on tonight, because Derek, Christian Brothers, it's a big rival, but he played best against Christian Brothers, but I thank Christian Brothers faithful for allowing that to happen tonight. It's just shows you how important they feel about Derek as well.
Yeah, that is rare. Where this is at Christian Brothers, and that is taking place. But that is beautiful.
Absolutely.
All right, let's get to some games. The best game of the week, I think, besides Christian Brothers and MUS, is Lausanne. Perfect on the year. I think there's only two perfect teams: Lausanne and Collierville, and they're taking on a Munford team in Munford. Munford is 7-1. What is Kevin LeCastro's team going to do on the road?
I'll tell you, Dave, that quarterback is the engine that makes the train run. And if he can get going tonight and get that running game, that play-action pass going, I think Lausanne will have some success. But I tell you, Dave, you and I both know it's when Munford is rolling, and they're 7-1 right now, that's a very, very tough environment to play in. And I'm going to give the nod to Munford. I think with home field advantage and that crowd roaring, I think they'll cause some problems tonight with that 12th man on the field with the crowd. And, Munford's defense has been pretty solid all year long. And I just think they'll have enough home crowd behind them to pull off I think it'll be a close ball game. I'll give Munford the edge just simply because they're playing at home tonight.
Fairleigh is another team that's undefeated. I did not mean to slight them because they're maybe the best defensive team throughout Shelby County. They're amazing. They're 6-0. They're at Bluff City, which I think is a charter school. The Bluff City team is only 2-3. You would think that Fairleigh is a major favorite in this game.
Hey, they are, Dave, and Fairleigh is one of the biggest surprise stories probably the last 2 years in this area. Their coach, a young man out of Atlanta, Georgia, he has that program marching and going in the right direction. One of the best young coaches in this area as well. And Fairleigh, to me, they'll get a win tonight and keep rolling. They came over Monday night and beat our JV team 26-13. And from what I understand, few people, they got a good young running back on their JV team, and they just got some good athletes, a lot of speed. They're aggressive on defense, and I think Fairleigh's going to make a big, long march up to that state championship road this year.
Now we've got Cordova taking on Collierville. That's 2-4 and 7-0. You would think Dragons.
Joe Riccone, like I said, the former Tiger, he's got Collierville, to me, primed and ready to make a big push, big win over Houston over Germantown and Houston this year. I think Collierville is primed and ready to go. The knock on Joe has been in the playoffs, but I think he gets over that hump, and then tonight against the Cordova team, John Downs' team, I think he gets a win and keep the goal of marching toward a gold ball this year. I think he keeps that goal in sight and keeping those guys focused.
What about Melrose at Ridgeway? Melrose 3-3. Ridgeway, my goodness, I feel so bad for Duran Sutton. That team struggled. Although they finally won a game, they're 1-5. What happens with Melrose? This has sort of been a disappointing year for Melrose, only at 3-3.
Yeah, it has. With the coaching change, with the two Morrow twins, and Morrow the player. I think it's been he's been hurt the first 3-4 games. And so having them back has been a positive, but Melrose defensively ain't nowhere near like they used to be. They're not big, they're not real physical. They still have speed, but there's not a Melrose defense that you used to see. They're smothering and aggressive, and they'll hit you on every single down. And I think with having Morrow back on offense, it's created a lot of more firepower. But I give Melrose the win, and I think Coach Sutton, that program Ridgeway has took a 360-degree turn in the wrong direction. I think COVID really, hurt them a bunch, and they haven't recovered from it. Players have been moving all over the city from Ridgeway Middle, and so Duran just hadn't got his footing back. And I think Melrose gets a win tonight. Morrow's just a tough kid to ball up the whole game, especially if you don't have the defensive firepower to deal with it.
All right, my friend, thank you so much. We'll talk next Friday. I know you will enjoy the rivalry game, the Brothers and the Owls, right there on Walnut Grove and 240.
Absolutely, Dave, and good luck to the Tigers this weekend. I heard your segment on the Tigers. Go Tigers, go this weekend.
There you go. That's our guy. Thank you much. That's Glenn Rogers Jr. I should point out, because we didn't mention it, NFL game last night. And you had two rookie quarterbacks going at it. Neither of them played fantastic football, to be honest with you. But Denver, Sean Payton going back to New Orleans, He had his team ready. They jumped out 13-0, and 6 sacks by Denver on poor Spencer Rattler. They fumbled twice. Turnovers always cost you 33-10. That one was easy for the Denver Broncos.
It sure was. And Sean Payton going in there, you had to think that he was going to want to go out and hang 100, and he got somewhat close. Also, Dave, Tony Bennett talking right now.
Oh, yeah. What's the deal?
His press conference.
It was not health. Tony
was not
Bennett,
health.
In case you don't know, because I didn't mention it, I meant to. I'm glad you said this. Tony Bennett, the 15 years, I think he was the coach at Virginia. Memphis was getting ready to take him on.
Right.
He, out of nowhere, what are we, 2 weeks before the season, 3 weeks before the regular season starts? Tony Bennett unexpectedly retired yesterday, and the word was it was not health-related.
No, not health-related at all. This was a quote from him he's talking right now at a press conference. John Rothstein posted this about 10 minutes ago. This is the quote from Tony Bennett. Quote, "The game and college athletics are not in a healthy spot. I think I was equipped to do the job the old way."
Wow, so he brought up, this is the truth, 2 weeks ago when he was still the coach and nobody knew, he brought up Jay Wright and Mike Krzyzewski and talked about they saw this coming.
And then he said, I think more recent than that, I think last week at their media days when doing an interview with someone, someone asked, there have been some rumors about maybe you stepping away from the game soon, and he went right back to that and said, well, I have guys that, I talk to a lot, and he named Jay Wright, he named Coach K. He goes, I'll probably talk with them and, figure out, but I'll know when it's time. And I guess yesterday it was time.
I hate to say this because I have a great deal of admiration for Tony Bennett and his dad, who he played for at Wisconsin Green Bay, and then the dad went on to be the coach at Wisconsin. I don't see how you could do this to your team.
It's tough, very tough.
3 weeks before the race,
Exactly.
gut it out for one more year, and then tell your bosses, I'm going to be leaving, start thinking about the guy you want to replace me with. But this puts them, there's two guys that could be the interim coach. I don't think it was very fair to the program. As much as I like Tony Bennett.
Yeah.
It's that time of year, football, basketball, the upcoming holidays. We've even had Major League Baseball. And you know what you can do? You can call your favorite bad golfer, Sheldon Rosengarten with Marks Bensdorf. Because he's certainly not a great athlete. He's known as Mr. Three-Putt off and begging for long gimmies. But when you talk about real estate, and this is a good time, the market's pretty good for if you want to buy, he's just got the expertise. He's the real pro. That's the truth. He can't play golf, but he knows the real estate game. When you want the job done, you call Sheldon. He sold houses on almost every major holiday, including Thanksgiving coming up, Christmas Eve, New Year's Day. I'm certain he's done it on Halloween. So don't think that those are slow times. People buy houses who are transferring into town or who have contracts on their houses or who want to take advantage of the good inventory and the lowering interest rates. They are getting lower, and there's a lot out there. I know somebody who's trying to sell a house right now. So if you or someone you know is thinking of selling, make sure they call my guy, Sheldon. He always says talk to 2 or 3 real estate brokers, but make sure he's one of them. You can reach him at 483-0546 or at memphisrelocate.com. That's Sheldon Rosengarten, 483-0546 or memphisrelocate.com. We'll relocate to Chicago. Our agent on the NBA from Priority Sports in the Windy City is Andy Schiffman, and he's next.
Start your day with Sports 56 Mornings with Greg Gaston and Eli Savoy. Weekday mornings from 7 to 10, right here on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM.
Visit Frontier Western Store today for new shirts and boots. Frontier is your top Carhartt store in the Mid-South. There's thousands of in-stock shirts and jeans. They have the classic K87 pocket tee in every color they make, including new ones just released. Available small to 4X. Want new jeans? Frontier has you covered with super tough work in them by Carhartt. And you've got to check out their selection of Ariat jeans for men, women, and children. You'll love how easy it is to find the size and style you need. Have you seen Frontier's remodeled world-famous boot showroom? It continues to expand. New new styles by Ariat just arrived, plus plenty of in-stock proven classics too. Whether you need work or dress boots, trust that Frontier's the place to come. See thousands of pairs of Ariat boots and thousands more by Dan Post, Corral, Durango, Rocky, Twisted X, and others. And Frontier's pricing is lower than online and chain stores, so you know just the local shop to visit. Frontier Western Store, 5880 Goodman Road in Olive Branch, and on the web at frontierwesternstore.com. Locally owned and operated since 1967.
Hi, this is Troy Five Ash, owner of Five Ash Roofing. Did you know there are so many roofing companies in Memphis that I don't even know them all? So that begs the question, which one should you choose? So I thought I'd give you a little background about me. My grandfather was a World War II Marine. My father worked for the University of Memphis for nearly 30 years. My mother, a pianist at Raleigh Baptist Church. Seems like forever. I went to Brownsville Road, Craigmont, and Bartlett High School, class of 81. We support the local school systems, youth athletics, and believe in what St. Jude and Le Bonheur stand for. I'm a Tiger and Grizz fan. The point? Memphis is my home. Five Ash Roofing will be around if you ever have a problem with the service we provide. Five Ash Roofing, fair, honest, and ethical, with deep local ties in our community. 367-0050 or memphisroofer.com.
Five Ash Roofing is what we do. We're here for you.
You're a contractor and you need concrete coating and supplies in Memphis fast, and you get this answer? I think we can order that stuff, but you're going to have to wait a few days for delivery. Why wait? Get your concrete coatings and supplies now at TSS Supply, where everything you need is in stock. If you're working in the tri-state Tennessee, Arkansas, Mississippi area, everything you need for concrete coating is at TSS Supply, 5665 East Rains Road, Memphis. TSS Supply specializes only in concrete coatings and supplies all in one place. If you're looking for a particular item, need large quantities, or just have general questions, call 901-729-0565, 729-0565, or you can email your question to Brad at tsssupply.com. The friendly, knowledgeable folks at TSS Supply have over 150 years combined experience in concrete coatings, materials, and supplies. Contractors, are you in town for a job or getting ready to do a job for a customer during their holiday shutdown? Then you should visit TSS Supply for your concrete coatings and supplies. Why wait for materials when TSS Supply has everything you need in stock and they can get it to you today or within 24 hours? TSS Supply, 5665 East Rains Road.
Ole Miss Rebel Yell is back. The Rebel Yell Hotline Radio Show is back on WHBQ Sports 56 and 98.5 FM. Every Monday night at 6, hear the latest news on your Ole Miss Rebels with Yancey Porter with 24/7 Sports, former Ole Miss defensive tackle Mike Fitzsimmons, Gordon Ford covering SEC Sports Call, and former Ole Miss baseball announcer Gary Darby. From kickoff to free throw to extra innings, your Ole Miss Sports on the Rebel Yell Hotline Show right here Monday night at 6 on Sports 56, 560 AM and 98.5 FM. Your Mid-South Sports Station.
Now back to Wolo and Friends on Sports 56. Here once again is the voice of the Tigers, Dave Woloshin.
We head to Chicago here in a minute. Andy Schiffman, our agent from Priority Sports, brought to you in part by Grind City Brewing and the newest product, the Gator Patrol. That's a tangerine cream sour. It is sweet, tart, it's refreshing. It's a fruited sour. Sometimes we call it a sunshine in the glass. We'll let you decide. Gator Patrol it's bright. It is juicy tangerine sweetness, perfectly balanced by a subtle hint of cream. So if you like cream, you like sour, you're going to love this newest product from Grind City. It's called Gator Patrol, the tangerine cream sour, brought to you by Memphis's brewery. So let's head to Chicago. Andy Schiffman standing by. There are so many great storylines as we get set for the season to start for real next week. Give me your favorite one, and then I got a bunch I want to talk about. Good morning.
Good morning, Dave. Wow. I mean, obviously, I think right now a hot topic maybe is like Kawhi Leonard being out to start the season.
Yeah, I was going to ask you
I think that's something that's pretty obviously devastating for the Clippers, who have high hopes this season. But I was thinking about we always talk about it, you and I, right? Like, who was your favorite? Who are some of the sleepers for contention for the NBA Finals? And I think every year we say the Clippers. I'm getting way off topic, but I just don't see it with the Clippers. They really, obviously, they lost Paul George to Philadelphia.
Right.
They still have Harden. They still have Kawhi.
But Harden is. We know Harden is not the guy he was 3 years ago.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying. These guys are older. They really haven't gone out, and rightfully so, because they don't have the mechanism to do so in the draft to go out there and get some young stud who's a top 5, top 10 pick and grow from there. And they're a tax team, so they really are handcuffed a bit financially in NBA free agency. So they have to really make a move this year before the trade deadline if they want to continue to compete, unless all of a sudden Kawhi can come back and stay healthy and Harden has a phenomenal year. So I am not as much of a buyer of the Clippers as I used to be. And I think storyline-wise, look, I'm just excited for the start of the season. Obviously, there's a lot of players that I'm personally invested in to see them grow and have great starts to their seasons, with Zach Edey being probably at the top of that list with the Grizzlies. I think it's going to be fun to watch the Grizzlies, assuming they're all healthy, and where they're going to go and playing well together with the addition of Zach. I think he's a player that they really have been needing for several years, the profile that he brings to the team. I am really excited. Again, I'm an agent, right? So I want to be able to talk about my guys, but we just signed Doug McDermott to Sacramento in his preseason, his first game, and he played great off the bench last night in 25 minutes. So I'm excited to see Sacramento. I think that they're always an exciting team that you get intrigued with early on, and they kind of fall off after the trade deadline. But we've got a lot of guys, Priority Sports does, on that team, and Keegan Murray, and obviously now Doug, and Keon Ellis, and Kevin Huerter. And I still think if they can remain healthy with De'Aaron Fox and with Sabonis, and now with the shooting that Doug brings, along with the continued emergence and development of Keegan Murray as a potential star in this league, they could be very, very good. So I really am just excited to see how a team like that combined with, and not combined, but these other teams that you get excited about that we really haven't talked a ton about in recent years, who have truly shown they can compete for a conference finals berth, the likes of Dallas, the likes of, obviously, Phoenix, we keep talking about if they're healthy. Oklahoma City, I'm really excited to watch them. So I'm just really intrigued to see what unfolds here in the first couple of months of the season. I think really by Christmas, we'll have a pretty good understanding of who's serious and who's the quote-unquote contender versus pretender story.
Right. I think we saw with Kawhi Leonard the handwriting on the wall when the U.S. national team cut him from their squad before the Olympic Games in Paris. That was eye-opening. Now he can't go again. It makes me wonder if he'll ever really again be a great player. And I kind of wonder the same thing about Lonzo Ball. In Chicago, your hometown, here's a guy who came back, actually played pretty good in very limited minutes. I did not realize till I saw this, though, he hadn't played in 1,000 days. Think about that. That's 2.5, 3 years. And he's just trying to come back. Can Lonzo Ball be the player that he was?
Can he be the player that he was? That is a reach, Dave. I do think that. But it was excellent to see him back on the court, given the last 3 seasons and how they've gone with his multiple double knee surgeries. Actually, I'm very close with the doctor here who performed those procedures on him. It's the same doctor that got Derrick Rose back to playing at a high level after his injury. And he's phenomenal. And I talk with him a lot about players and injuries and send a lot of my players that have orthopedic issues to him. So I think for him in particular, and just the story of seeing Lonzo back out there, I don't think it was really ever a foregone conclusion he would be back. And I think that's what a lot of NBA people don't understand, a lot of fans don't understand. It's not like, well, we just have to be patient, he'll be back. The fact that Lonzo Ball stepped on an NBA court the other night after the injuries and the recovery process he had with multiple knee surgeries, in and of itself is remarkable. It's nothing short of a miracle. So I'm not so much concerned of like, hey, we need to get him back to playing at an all-star level of who he was before the injuries. If he can go out there and be a serviceable rotational piece for the Bulls this year, that's a win. The last year of a massive contract. If he can prove that he can do exactly what I just spoke about, the guy's going to remain in the NBA, definitely making nowhere near what he made, and there's always going to be concerns physically. But even just the storyline of him coming back and playing in a preseason game after the last 3 seasons, it's as a basketball fan, you couldn't ask for anything more.
With the hometown Grizz, you've got several players that are on this team. Scottie Pippen Jr. just signed a standard contract, a multi-year standard contract. There was no public reveal as to what that is at this point. I'm assuming, could be wrong, that it's along the same lines, you correct me if I'm wrong, of Gigi Jackson and Vince Williams, probably 4 years, probably like $4 million a year, something like that. What's your sense of a standard contract for a guy like Scottie Pippen?
For sure. So obviously the Grizzlies have certain mechanisms they can use. They signed him to a 4-year deal, converted him off to two-way. I believe the reports, and I have not talked to the Players Association yet to actually see the contract, but I believe it's just shy. It's a 4-year deal, just shy of $10 million over those 4 years. So
that's a real deal. Wow.
Well, it's a great team-friendly deal for a very young player with a lot of potential that can play backup point guard minutes, can be a really nice piece, really solid piece for your rotation moving forward. But at the same time, the Grizzlies have done this with multiple young players off of two ways, Vince Williams, CG, Killian Tilly, John Conchar. It gives Scotty security. And I think it's a win-win for both sides. Obviously, he has to go out there and spend the next couple of years continuing to develop and prove he can grow, and then hopefully in the next several years, when he's eligible for an extension after 3 years, maybe turn that into something even bigger. But I'm risk averse when it comes to a young player's first contract, and I never want to dig my heels in the sand and say we're not going to take this because he's worth so much more if you don't have a fallback. And it really turns my stomach when I see players turning down multiple years of guaranteed security if they don't have anything to fall back on. And really, in Scotty's case, like, they really haven't proven anything in the league just yet. He's been a nice piece for the Grizzlies. He's kind of probably thought of more as an insurance policy with all the issues surrounding Ja and his uncertainty moving forward from a health perspective. But now it's like you've got the security, prove you can be a consistent rotational backup point guard for the Grizz, and you're now thought of a lot more as just an insurance policy. You're a rotational piece for the team, and he can do that throughout the course of this season. So I applaud the Grizzlies for rewarding him, going out and obviously finding him. I think it's going to be great for Scotty, but yeah, I think financially it's a good position for the Grizzlies to be in. Look, the bottom line is on this contract, right? If Scotty can turn into a first guy off the bench as the consistent backup point guard, playing the Tyus Jones minutes that you saw years ago, playing 25, that's a heck of a deal for the Grizzlies to get a back. I mean, we have T.J. McConnell, who in my opinion is the best backup point guard in the NBA and just signed a great extension. To get a backup point guard on a winning team at shy of $3 million a year is phenomenal for the Grizzlies.
$2.5 million a year. My gosh, that's a bigger deal than I thought it might be for the Grizzlies themselves and their cap space. Last thing, and there's so much we got to talk about, like the trades, Cat and George going to new teams, JJ Redick being the coach. We'll get into that as the weeks go on. But there was an interesting story since you brought him up, Ja, who will play tonight in the final exhibition game against Miami at FedEx Forum. In 2 minutes, can you tell me, do you think he regains superstar status this year?
I do, and it's solely based on longevity. You got 82 games in the regular season, Dave. If he can prove he can stay healthy and be on the floor for 65 to 75 of those games, and obviously to be eligible for these NBA accolades, I believe you have to play a minimum of 65 games anyways.
Yep.
There's never a question of his talent. And the guy is he just has such a burst athletically that I don't really think anyone else as a point guard in today's NBA has. I think over the years he's proven he can be a capable threat from the perimeter, but I just don't think he really has to be, given how athletic and just explosive he is, which is who Ja is and why he's Ja Morant and everyone gets so excited about watching him. So that's all, to my knowledge, Dave, that's all still going to be there. And I think even coming off an ankle sprain, right? Like Ja Morant in the first 2 weeks of the season coming off an ankle sprain is probably still more athletic than 80% of the other players in the NBA.
Yeah. Well,
so,
and that injury,
if he's healthy, yeah.
The injury, I've never seen anything like that. A ball hit his ankle and turned his ankle. I've never seen that
just a freak thing.
In all these years. Andy Shipman, can't wait to keep talking to you as we get into the real nitty-gritty. The real season starts next week, and we'll talk next Friday. Thank you, buddy.
Sounds good. Thanks a lot.
That is Andy Schiffman. He's brought to you in part by the Eflin Insurance Team. You know, they collaborate. They get to know you so they can best protect you. That's the way it works. They're going to sit you down, find out about your family, what's really important to you, kind of see what your future looks like, and then figure out your budget to protect your car, your home, your future with life insurance. That's the philosophy they use with small to mid-sized businesses. They want to know you, your product, your employees, forecast your business out, and then figure out your budget to find the perfect commercial insurance protection. It's simple. They're big Tiger fans, by the way. GUR is in their phone number, but look it up. It's the Eflin Insurance Team. They protect you the collaborative way. We will end our week with our AAC Roundtable. Only Corey Glore in New Orleans this week. We'll explain why when we return.
We are real sports talk. Sports 56 WHBQ. Available on your radio dial at 560 AM and 98.5 FM, as well as around the world online at sports56whbq.com. Take us with you everywhere by downloading the Sports 56 app. And at home, just say, Alexa, play Sports 56. Wherever you are, stay tuned in to real sports talk. Sports 56 and 98.5 FM.
Wash your office building? Impossible! Not call Wilson's Pro Wash. Your house, fence, driveway, warehouse, store, hotel, even cars and trucks can all be squeaky clean and beautiful after pressure washing by Wilson's Pro Wash. Wilson's specializes in cleaning all hard surfaces, concrete, stone, brick, and mortar, even wood and vinyl siding. Then Wilson's can seal their surfaces so they stay looking brand new. Call Wilson's Pro Wash, 901-524-6799, or online at wilsonsprowash.com.
Get ready, Memphis. It's our 35th annual Trucktober happening here at Sunrise Buick GMC at Wolf Chase. Big trucks, load trucks, four-wheel drive trucks, two-wheel drive trucks, crew cab trucks, extended cab trucks, diesel trucks, gas trucks. We got red trucks, black trucks, white trucks. We got trucks for big jobs, and we got trucks for weekend warriors. We got trucks for great gas mileage and trucks for all your towing needs. Huge discounts, big rebates, special interest rates. We've got it all. Or slow pay, it's all okay at Sunrise, home of the guaranteed approval. Come see us for all your car, truck, and SUV needs. Visit us at the good-looking building on Highway 64 in Bartlett. It's Truck Month. We make it fun to buy a car.
Guns, guns, and more guns. Over 700 firearms in stock. Home defense guns, old guns, new guns, used guns, big guns, little guns. Every gun you can think of, Classic Arms has them. All brands like Glock, Sig, Colt, Ruger, Smith & Wesson, Browning, Beretta, Benelli, Remington, Winchester, and more. Guaranteed lowest prices in town. Only gun importer in the Mid-South. Free gun inspections and appraisals and free bore sighting for the upcoming deer season. Shop online at ClassicArmsOfMemphis.com or visit Classic Arms at 1740 Germantown Parkway behind Quirky's Barbecue in Cordova.
Every week now we end with a roundtable on the American Athletic Conference. We'll do it through the Final Four. We have Corey Glore, the voice of Tulane. Normally we would have our friend Bruce Howard, the longtime voice of the Tulsa Golden Hurricane. Unfortunately, Bruce lost his brother this past week. He is flying to go to a funeral. So our thoughts and our prayers are with Bruce Howard and his family. In the meantime, Corey and I will carry on. And let's start with this. When this season began, Memphis was picked to win the American. I think Tulane was picked second. And since Memphis has to go there, we thought, okay, this is going to be an unbelievable game on Thanksgiving Day. Would you have ever imagined in your life, Corey Glore, that Army and Navy would be sitting undefeated and in the top 25, the both of them? Amazing. Good morning.
Yeah, it's been impressive. I would have probably given an outside shot at Army being in somewhat of this type of position because they've been a pretty solid program here the last few years, and they had a pretty nice schedule so far the first half of the year.
I don't know how they got that one, but boy, did they get an easy one.
Yeah, and so, Army being ranked and undefeated, it's, I think, a little bit of a surprise to see them in the top 25, at least heading into the year. Navy's the biggest surprise. I think they've had a tougher schedule, one, because they've had to play Navy, or they've had to play Memphis, and that already just gives them the higher leg up to stand on in terms of strength of schedule. But, this has been a program a little bit in the wilderness over the last few years. So to see them have this type of year and crack the top 25. That's, I think, the biggest surprise of the two.
All right, so now your ball club has 2 losses, albeit against good teams, and you're undefeated in the American. Memphis has the 1 loss in conference to Navy with the win over a Florida State team that obviously is not what everybody thought they would be. Do you think from that grouping, and North Texas is undefeated in the league and 5-1 as well. We should put them in there, but there's an elimination game sort of with them this week in Memphis. Do you think that with Boise being the way they are with a Heisman Trophy favorite and all this other stuff and a close loss to Oregon that just beat Ohio State, do you think there's any chance that an AAC team could actually make the playoffs as the G5 rep?
I think there is some chance. Boise has the control over it now, and they look relatively unstoppable since that game against Oregon. You know, Army has a Notre Dame game coming up, and so, I mean, that will be, I think, a bit of an elimination game in terms of the playoff for them. You know, where Navy, they have a Notre Dame game. They also see Tulane towards the end of the year as well. And then who knows what a conference title game would look like in this league. But there, as opposed to what's been the last few years here, Dave, the Americans not in the driver's seat for the playoff spot now of this quote-unquote group of 5 playoff spot. That's up to Boise to win or lose. But I think I think whoever comes out of the American would be next in line should Boise have a trip up along the way.
And we the purpose of the show is sort of to prognosticate and just talk about it and get a better sense of the league and make people interested in the league. As I look at it right now, I think Army's in the driver's seat if Boise were to fall, and they've still got a couple of tough games. You know, Army, the way they sit and the way the Army-Navy game is, they got a chance to make it as the G5 rep. I think they got, if we're pinpointing one team that we can point our finger at, that would be the team. And I think they're going to be in the championship game. So if Memphis, Tulane, and Navy all come down to the bottom here, hoping to be the second team in the championship game, I guess Memphis has to root for you guys to beat Navy, and then Memphis has to beat Tulane. I don't know what happens in a 3-way tie. Who would be the second team in to play Army in the championship game?
Yeah, I think we've run into similar situations the last few years because Tulane's been involved in this madness the last few years. And one of the very first tiebreakers is that if you lose your last game of the year, then you're not in the mix. And so keep that in mind when Tulane and Memphis meet on Thanksgiving night.
So that
and
losers out right there.
Yeah. And it goes to like the strength of the opponent you play in the last week if it comes down to bigger tiebreakers. And so, that's where Tulane and Memphis will be at a disadvantage, whomever loses that game on Thanksgiving if they're both in the
Well, I would say this, just thinking
tournament
about
or conference championship appearance. But it always seems to work out in which one team has a pretty clear path, and there's about 3 or 4 that are battling to the last 2 weeks. It happened last year with SMU, and now it's going to happen again here, it appears. And Army's already 5-0 in the league. I think that's getting lost in the sauce here as well.
No,
they're over halfway through their conference schedule already, which is crazy, and I hope that gets addressed moving forward with their schedule.
Oh, yeah.
So they don't have a lot of opportunities to mess this up moving forward.
No.
Everyone else does.
They're in. I would say this. I think Memphis is in trouble. And because I did not understand or didn't know the way the tiebreaker worked, that's the first tiebreaker. Because if you think about it, if Navy only loses to you guys in the conference and all 3 of us have 1 loss, then you're immediately eliminated because Memphis beat you. If Memphis were to beat you, right?
Right.
Then you go head-to-head with Navy, they win. They beat us. They beat Memphis in a thriller in Annapolis. So they would actually be the second team, and we get Army-Navy 2 weeks in a row. Now, if you win, I don't know what happens. We're eliminated. You both got 1 loss. Wait a second. You beat Navy, you're in. So that's the way it would seem to be the way it would work out unless Navy loses somewhere else along the way.
Well, and what I have realized in my, somewhat brief time in this league, Dave, is that there are a lot of convoluted situations that usually comes down to the final week of the year. And so there might be something that creeps in here that we're not thinking of. There might be another team we're not thinking of that creeps into
North
this.
Texas wins. They're in the mix.
North Texas wins. I mean, heck, I think I don't think they're a great team, but Charlotte is 2-0 right now. And so, it's stuff like that where we're not discussing some of this stuff. And we see North Texas next week. And so, they're going to have their case to make here over the next couple of weeks here as well. And so, there's going to be a lot that moves between now and mid-November. I think the one thing that we can all feel pretty confident in right now is that unless something crazy happens, Army has a spot pretty well stitched up in this thing.
I never got a chance to ask you this, so I'll do it on the air. When the Pac-12 offer was in the mix and this little alliance between Memphis, Tulane, and South Florida started to form, what were you hearing around your program, because you're on the inside, or even with the fan base around the program? What was the sense in New Orleans about a move?
Fan base was ready to go now, even before this talk even started. I think that's common across the three fan bases that you just highlighted there. I think within the athletic offices here, I think they were very interested in the move and the possibilities of what a new Pac-12 could do for Tulane. And this stuff, Tulane is at a good time right now to have this type of discussion being had. You can go back 5 years ago, and Tulane would not be in this sort of discussion, but they're playing good football, and that is what has them on the national radar. And so I think they know that the window might be closing here in terms of making the jump, because there aren't a lot of jumps left to make. Tulane's in a good spot to do that jump, but the logistics of it all came into play. At least that's kind of what I've gleaned here. And if the report about the amount that the Pac-12 was willing to give towards that exit fee are true, then I think that was the easy no, not just from here, but maybe across the three schools. I know UTSA was kind of in this mix a little bit too, but the three schools that we're talking about, you guys, Tulane, and South Florida, that $2.5 million to $25 million is not makes sense, and with all the travel that would be coming. So I don't think we're done spinning this wheel.
No.
I get the sense Pac-12 still needs to find something here over the next year. And so if they come back to us in Memphis and South Florida with a little bit of a better situation, and they come with a firmer media deal and parameters for that in place, then maybe this happens again and happens for real. I can tell you, based on the people I talked to here, it had to have been a group deal. And I feel like maybe the folks in Memphis felt similarly, where if Tulane and Memphis and South Florida go together or none go at all, because otherwise just the travel becomes a nightmare.
It honestly was just not a real offer. There were no guaranteed dollars minus the $2.5 million, which means you're out $22.5 million, and there's no guarantee $9 to $10 million like you're getting from ESPN. All right, very quickly, in about 2 minutes, I'm shocked that Tulane is 12 in the hoops poll, because there's so many teams that are all new teams that lost a lot of guys. And I think around Memphis, there's a little bit of surprise that UAB was picked by the coaches to win the basketball league. Memphis was second. It makes sense to me. You got Yaxel Lendeberg coming back and 2 or 3 other key players on that UAB team that are coming back, and Memphis is a whole brand new team. Your thoughts on the poll?
I think it definitely leads to what people remember from last year, and that carries over pretty directly to how people feel about this year. I'd be willing to wager that not a lot of folks around the league can write down the rosters of all 13 teams now heading into this year. Tulane's very new. We have 10 new players on this team, and we finished tied for last year. So where Tulane is picked was not a major surprise to me. I think they're better than that, but they have to go out there and do it. I wasn't surprised at UAB at the top either, because they won the tournament and they've returned pretty much everybody from that group. It's UAB and Memphis that are clearly in the 1 and 2 spots in some order. It all hinges on just how people remember last year. I don't think Temple would be that high if they didn't make a run to the conference championship game last year as an 11 seed. And so it's stuff like that where I don't put a lot of credence in that, honestly, Dave, because I think a lot of folks just kind of look back, well, how did last year end? And they just kind of fill out their poll from that.
I think you're absolutely on the money. Can't wait to talk to you again next Friday. Thank you. And Bruce Howard will be back next Friday for the Roundtable. Thank you, Corey.
Thank you, Dave.
That's Corey Glore, voice of Tulane. The Roundtable is brought to you by the Spirit Shop. Weekends here. Eddie Connor standing by right there at Poplar and St. Nick, 4848 Poplar. That's that little log cabin. You've seen it a million times as you've passed by Poplar and St. Nick. It's right down from Clark Tower. Inside, you won't believe how much there is. It looks small from the outside. Spatial engineering that Eddie Connor has maneuvered. He's got more product in there than you can believe. And I'm talking bargains. I'm talking middle of the road. And I'm talking rare, like some bourbons that people would kill for. He's got it all, and he'll educate you on what makes something rare, what makes something up and coming, what is a bargain, and the service. Prices, by the way, awfully good. Location's perfect. Heart of East Memphis since 69. It's the Spirit Shop. That'll do it for us. We'll see you Saturday tomorrow at Simmons Bank Liberty Stadium. We'll be right back here on Monday. Colin Cowherd and Fox. That comes your way next.
Listen Sundays at 11 a.m.